This time, on episode 232 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 100th episode, The Real Deal, Marvel News Roundup, and your feedback.
I'm John from Game Life Balance US, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, March 11th, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast dimension-wide via www.geeks.live. That's www.geeks.live. Happy Daylight Savings Time, ladies.
Are you sure you mean happy?
No, not at all. Especially how this day is going. Not at all. This is like the worst daylight savings time spring forward I've ever experienced.
I literally woke up right as we were supposed to start, and then so many audio problems, y'all. So many audio problems.
So many problems, period. But we're glad to be here. We're finally recording, and we can't wait to talk about this episode. By the way, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 100. Happy 100, guys. Marvel's Defenders on Netflix, which I guess is canceled. Legion on FX. Season 2's coming. Possibly The Gifted on Fox, if Haley ever puts it on the schedule. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Infinity War is coming. And the Marvel Comic Universe in general.
Because of learning that everything orange-flavored is edible.
If you'd like to talk to us about orange-flavored things, you can find us at our website, legendsofshield.com.
You can leave us a voicemail about your favorite orange things at 844-THE-BUS-1, 844-843-2871.
You can find us on Facebook to talk about orange-flavored things at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can tweet us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can find us on YouTube, all our happy videos at youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
For those long-term listeners of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., you will find that we are down another agent this week. This seems to be a thing of 2018. I doubt the four of us will ever be together 2 weeks in a row for this entire year. But Haley is out. She's taking some personal time. And as we discussed last week, we don't pay her, so she's allowed to do so whenever she wants. So she is out this week. I guess that's all I can do. Just let her go.
Let it go. Let it go.
All right, we're going to get into this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 12, The Real Deal. This is episode number 100 in the series. Lauren, what's with the title?
So, there's a bit in the episode. Well, first of all, there's, I guess, a couple of things. First of all, Deke finally experiencing the real things that he had only experienced in his imagination or in his fake framework. But most importantly, Coulson having doubts about his reality and having to face the real deal that is his mortality.
I wasn't sure which way they were going to go of the Coulson once they were talking about his fears, especially when Mike Richards' Deathlock appeared to him in the basement.
Mike Peterson, played by the actor J. August Richards.
There you go. So I just combined two of them. Sorry.
Yes,
J. August Richards, Mike Peterson. So Mike Peterson was in the basement, dressed as Mike Peterson and not as Deathlock. And it was the first time we've seen him in several years. And you can remember back in previous episodes of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm like, when is Deathlok coming back? When is Deathlok coming back? So glad we got him back for episode 100. But the whole thing over Coulson and his fear of either dying or re-dying, or has this all been a dream? Wow, that would actually make me mad if it was a dream, but we know it isn't.
Yeah, we will talk about it when we get there. I have things to say.
All right, we have definitely things to say, and we definitely have things to say about the creative team. Who directed this episode, Michelle?
This episode was directed by Kevin Tancharoen. Has made many discussion appearances on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. In fact, 10 of them. Has 24 directing credits since 2004, including 18 Mortal Kombat Rebirth, a Supergirl, 2 Flash, 1 12 Monkeys, 3 episodes of Arrow, 1 of Iron Fist, and 10 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He's been around for a while, and he's been around the comic book shows at all. I always look forward to his Arrow episodes as well. He just brings a certain gravitas to the comic book shows that aren't really seen anywhere else. I've also enjoyed his 12 Monkeys. Really, every episode that he does, I know that we're in for a higher quality episode, so I always look forward to him. Now, we also have a trio of writers. And Michelle, why don't you start off with the first one?
Yes, the first writer is Jed Whedon. Has 11 credits since 2008, including 19 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Of course, 2 episodes of Spartacus War of the Damned. Producer for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Slingshot, Spartacus War of the Damned, and Spartacus Gods of the Arena.
Jed, of course, has been showrunner since season 1. Lauren, who is Jed's writing partner?
Writing partner, as well as life partner, is Maurissa Tancharoen. She has 9 writing credits, including Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, 1 episode of Drop Dead Diva, 6 episodes of Dollhouse, 1 episode of Spartacus Gods of the Arena, 1 episode of Ultimate Spider-Man, and 15 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
15. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot more than Jed, isn't it? Because Jed has only got 10.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have another writer, right, Michelle?
Yes, we have Jeffrey Bell, has 11 writing credits since 1999, including 5 The X-Files, 13 of Angel, 4 episodes of Alias, 1 Spartacus War of the Damned, and 10 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
All right, so they brought out the big guns. They brought out the showrunners, the executive producers for this year, as well as a key director, all for this episode 100, because it was a celebratory episode 100. Now, how well did it do in the viewership? Because they promoted it. It was going to be episode number 100. And ABC aired this episode on Friday, March 9th, 2018, to a live rating of 2.15, which is good. It's on the gooder side this year. It's up from 1.91 4 weeks ago with all the comforts of home. And I'm looking down the list of ratings for the year here, and it's varying between 2.54 with the season premiere down to a low of 1.84 in its 4th episode back in December. So I think this is good for ratings for the year, but I would have hoped that an episode 100 would get a little bit more ratings than 2.15. But we are in the middle of basketball season, so March Madness, that might take its toll on the live ratings. Looking forward to that same day +7 ratings as it comes out. All right, we talk about this every week. We talk about Michelle's mom's take because that's our barometer. She's not a definite comic book fan, but it's somebody that we know that actually enjoys the material, and Michelle actually watches the episode with her mom. So, Michelle, what was your mom's take on the episode?
She loved it. It was so funny when Deke steps outside. She turned to me and went, "Does Deke mess this up?" It's like, "No, Mom, he doesn't mess it up." And then, like 15 minutes left in the episode, she's like, "What's going to happen? What's happening next?" And I'm looking at her, and it's like, there's 15 minutes left. I'm not going to tell you everything. And then her expression when she realized that Fitz and Simmons are getting married, she was just, shocked and so sweet. And then the jaw hit the floor when we learned about Deke, which we'll talk about. Again, she loved it.
That's good. That's good. It was a good episode. Probably not the best ever. I'm just going to lay that out here right now. I expected a little bit more for episode number 100. Didn't quite get it. I remember episode 200 of various different programs, How I Met Your Mother, Stargate SG-1. The 200 episode is like the big episode. And I remember 100 episodes, I'm like, eh. And even with Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., our 100 episode, we didn't even acknowledge, but 200 we did a special thing for. So maybe I shouldn't have such high expectations for episode 100. I don't know. Lauren, you have a lot of stuff to say about episode 100. Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. So you're right. I don't think this was their best episode. I thought it was written kind of haphazardly, which is something I hate to say about this writing team because I love this writing team. But I thought that the whole fear dimension thing was kind of a sloppy way to get in a best of. But there were some standout moments. I knew, okay, I spoiled myself on what was going to happen in last week's episode. I was out of town last week, so I wasn't able to watch it live. And then I heard, oh, Lauren is going to hate this. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to hate? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh no, I hate this. So I put off the pain for as long as I could. And I watched it about an hour and a half before the show aired this week. And last week's episode, I thought, by the way, was amazing.
So did we, by the way.
And with the whole, Deke's in the past thing, I remember I was like, oh God, I was just starting to like Deke and now he's dead. He's going to die. We're leaving him behind. Okay, I really like fish out of water Deke. So I hope he sticks around for a while. And I really liked the use of Deke in this episode. He's still kind of he's the whole, I'm not sacrificing myself. They're like, we were just going to ask if we could use your belt buckle. I liked that. It was very Deke. And because he was kind of a necessary mood lightener at moments. And his obsession with Zima thing was kind of hilarious to me, especially as somebody whose introduction to booze was chick beer back in the day, except mine was Smirnoff.
Oh, wait a minute. Zima's chick beer isn't wine coolers chick beer?
Yeah. Yeah, Zima, Smirnoff, wine coolers, those are all the quote-unquote chick beer. In fact, my quote-unquote bachelorette party was me and my best friend up in my aunt's bedroom a couple of nights before my wedding, drinking a 6-pack of chick beer and reminiscing about when we were kids. But anyway, I really, really like Deke here, and then finding out, he's related to Fitzsimmons. Again, that I posted on my live tweet, I yelled and punched the couch just because I was just like, you're kidding me. But at the same time, it kind of fits. Ha, fits. That was unintentional.
It is. And it brings up a lot of stuff as well. But before we get into every other thing.
There's one other thing I want to bring up. The whole Coulson being self-sacrificing, going in, facing his fear of his own mortality. As soon as that started, I'm like, oh no, I've seen this before. This is from another Whedon property. This was an episode of Buffy. There's an episode of Buffy that aired in season 6 called Normal Again. And by the way, happy 21st anniversary Buffy, which was yesterday, the 10th of March. After Buffy is stung by a demon, she begins to have vivid daydreams about life in a mental asylum. She begins to believe that she is back in LA and that Sunnydale and all her friends are just a figment of her imagination. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, this has been done before. So that was a bit of a letdown.
Well, I hadn't seen it before, but it seemed kind of tropish and almost cheapish to me. But I will say this, you mentioned last week, and I actually needed a lighter week, a kind of a, put off week that really wasn't as hard hitting this week after last week. I literally paused the recording in last week for the episode. When the event happened with Yo-Yo, I'm like, oh my gosh, it really hit me hard. And then everything about what had happened, it was just a really impactful episode. And not that this isn't impactful, but at the same time, I needed a little bit of lighter fare. And I'm glad they gave me a second to catch my breath in the grand scheme of things. Like if I was watching this back to back, I would need this episode of lightheartedness before I get back into what is going on with General Hale and what's going on with Ruby and that sort of thing. So I'm glad we had the week pause. But still, it's episode 100, and I expected a little bit more. Now, the trip down memory lane was the villains. It wasn't the good things. And quite frankly, we don't have available to us some of the people that have been on this show in the past because they passed away. So I thought this was an interesting way forward. Michelle, who are some of the evil people, the fears that people had, that the team had in this episode?
Well, the first one's not a surprise. It's a Kree warrior going after Deke and Daisy. Then we have an LMD, Yo-Yo's recovering, and we think Simmons is there to help and ends up being a LMD. We have Hive. We get Lash. We get Mike Peterson, not so much as a fear. It's like everything seems to be nice and comforting, but it's that whole, is this real or is it not? And then, of course, we get the roaches at the end.
Yeah, Mike Peterson is the symbol of Tahiti. So, I mean, if they would have had that little Tahiti cocoon, that would have been freaky. But they did have the ER table, the trauma table, and they had Mike Peterson outside the trauma table. So that was interesting. I don't remember. He wasn't part of the trauma team, was he?
No, again, this is the whole, he's afraid of death, and he's afraid of not leaving a good legacy and stuff like that. Again, you saw his panic, S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to live on.
He is very intent on S.H.I.E.L.D. living on because he believes that S.H.I.E.L.D. provides the Earth with the protection that it needs from these extreme events that have been happening. So I'll agree with him there, but.
And that, I think, was one of the stronger parts of the episode, was the bits with Coulson and the rest of the team. Because, again, that's where the show always shines, is with these characters who we know are a family. And even though I thought the part where, it's a fake out, trying to make us think, he's really dead or he's really dying or whatever, I thought that was weak. The parts where, quote unquote, Mike Peterson pointed out that he really wanted a family and stuff like that. And we get those flashes to Daisy, and you really wanted somebody to mentor, and you get the flashes to Fitzsimmons and just all of this stuff. That hit me really hard because it's like we keep pointing out, these people are a family.
They are. And Coulson is dying. We did get the reason behind he's dying too, is that.
Can I do the I was right dance?
Yeah, go ahead. Ghost Rider apparently burned through whatever fixed him in Tahiti. And then Daisy was just mad as all get out that they were in a place where that could have been fixed and they didn't fix it, which leads me to believe that we are looking at some real consequences, not only in this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we'll get to that a little bit in the news later. Michelle, what did you take about the realization of where Coulson is right now and where we're going for the rest of the series?
There were two scenes that really got me when he finally confesses that he's dying. And of course, the Daisy scene, because Coulson is her dad. We talk about that all the time. I mean, we do joke about Coulson and May being mommy and daddy, but it's the case. And that scene really got got to me. But May, she just calls him out. You handled this wrong, Phil. Is this why we backed off? And he's all like, well, I didn't want you to waste your time on me. And she's like, I get to choose who I waste my time on. And it was just like the way they reacted. Hit me more than Coulson actually dealing with everything. And that's what really got to me. Especially for some reason that May scene, because we were kind of hoping for Felinda, and it looks like we're not going to get Felinda.
Well, it's more, okay, Coulson backed off because he's like, oh, I'm dying. I don't want to put her through this. But I loved her pointing out, how dare you make this decision for me? How do you know that I don't want to spend whatever time you have with you? And that's something I love. Because one thing that I really love, okay, so for any of our listeners who don't know, I narrate romance novels. And a trope that I really hate in romance, whether it's in, any sort of fiction or in romance novels, is people who don't communicate, because this is a killer in real life relationships. And in a fictional relationship where you, the writer, control everything that happens, it's annoying. So something I really, really like, and I really, really love narrating, is people who actually communicate. So when Melinda said, if you had told me, she basically just said, you should have told me. I'm just like, yes, I am fully on your side, because a relationship is not one person making all the decisions. Yes, it might have hurt, but as a partner in a relationship, you get equal say. Even if your say is, I want to stay with you, even though it hurts.
Okay, there's a little bit of a individual choice, but if you're affecting others, and he clearly is, then I think others should be brought into that.
Yeah, and his whole thing, again, we saw this back in season 1. Coulson keeping secrets was not a good thing back then. And here he's reverting to that whole, okay, I'm keeping secrets because I think I know better. That didn't work out then, even here where it's his health. And okay, you are not, if you have a disease, something like that, you are not obligated to tell people. That's true. But here, where he has people depending on him, where he knows he has a limited time, I feel like that's maybe a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's going to be compromised soon. He knows he only has a limited amount of time to, let's say, train Daisy for leadership. Let's say spend time with May. Let's say prepare these people for the inevitable. It's going to be sad, but I'd want to know. I'd want people to know. It's like, hey, just so you know. I mean, I get the whole, oh, I don't want our last few whatevers to be sad. I get, okay, the concept of health is a very sensitive and issue. But here, in the concept of a show where previously this character keeping secrets has been provably bad, I feel like he's falling into bad habits again.
Just ask Team Arrow over on the CW show Arrow how secrets really turn out. Yeah, it's a bad thing in comic book shows, right, Michelle?
Yeah, and I think if he would have told, it would have, because that's why he iced Daisy, because he needs her to lead, because he knows he's dying, and he knew then, and she needs to be prepared. Because she says to him, there is no more S.H.I.E.L.D. What am I to do? I'm just a soldier. And he's like, no, there needs to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. We need to have hope. And you need to be that beacon of hope. And yeah, he did not handle it well. May's right. He didn't handle it well.
Yeah. And again, if he didn't want to tell everyone, he really should have at least told May and Daisy. Daisy because he's trying to get her to lead, and May because she's his second in command professionally, and personally because they're so close.
I think this is the first time that she realizes that she is definitely going to be in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. sooner rather than later. So it's an awesome responsibility, especially with what they're faced with. They know that they still have to stop the Earth from being destroyed. They still know that they have the Kree on the way. They still have all this future knowledge, and she is now burdened with that all as a potential leader, because you just don't know how much time Coulson has left. So it is an interesting thing. Oh, by the way, there's one last thing about Coulson that I want to talk about, and it's when he was on the trauma table and they mentioned that Stark says, give him everything that he needs, or something to those effects. I want to state that in the early parts of the show and throughout the MCU movies, the team does not know that Coulson is still alive. So I suspect that this trauma table was before Tahiti. It was after the events in the Avengers, but before Tahiti. And Stark still doesn't know he's alive. Am I right in that?
I think that name drop there is a hint that it's fake. Because again, as far as we know, Fury just told everyone, oh, he's dead.
Right. And that's as far as we know.
Yeah.
Stark still thinks that Coulson's dead. I just want to close that plot potential hole up for people that were like, oh, Tony Stark was mentioned. Well, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was mentioned. But because we know via what we have, a God's eye view of from watching all the movies, and especially from the events of right after Coulson was stabbed in Avengers, all Fury told him was, oh, Coulson died. So I don't think there would have been any time when Tony Stark would have known, oh, this happened.
Yep. Another major thing that happened in this episode, which you already mentioned, is the wedding between Fitz and Simmons. And this was something that we knew was going to happen for quite a long time. We've all been paying attention to the news. We knew we were going to get a wedding scene. I liked the holodeck on level 27, by the way, for the place of the wedding. Gave them a nice outdoor ceremony and still yet in the lighthouse. So that was pretty cool. Too bad it's going to be gone next episode, basically. They just wrote it all out. That holodeck goes bye-bye. But that was pretty cool.
So again, we got Deke being kind of adorable. Coulson sends him off on an errand. At first I thought, oh my God, is he going to be calling Nick Fury? Are we going to be getting Nick Fury in this episode? We get Deathlock. Deathlock comes in, kicks some ass, saves Coulson. And we find out that Deke has been doing false Daisy sightings, which was cool. And also looking for wedding rings, which was cute. Looking for wedding rings at pawn shops because S.H.I.E.L.D's on a budget right now. And so when they're in the elevator, I'm looking at Fitz and he's wearing this nice suit and he's, adjusting the things. And I'm thinking back to evil Fitz in the framework. And I'm like, yeah, maybe he picked up some pointers on how to dress there because he's looking good. And then I forget what exactly they said. But at that point, I'm like, wait, are they are they on their way to his wedding? And then, yes, the elevator doors open and everybody's there. And it's like, oh, no, oh, they're getting married. They're getting married. And yes, it's in this probably soon to collapse at any time forest. But you got Coulson conducting the wedding. You got Daisy as the maid of honor. And of course, remember all the behind the scenes stuff where I'm blanking out on the actress's name. Simmons was saying that really it was the wedding was between Daisy and Gemma. But anyway, it's so adorable. And their vows are just so sweet. And that's when we find out, oh, the wedding rings oh, I found this one that looks kind of like my mom's and hers. It was passed down from her grandma. And that was when I yelled and punched the couch.
Yeah, we find out that Deke is the grandson of Fitz and Simmons.
Also, Deke he didn't find, I'm guessing it was probably scotch or something. I didn't pick up what they sent him to get, but he brought back a 6-pack of Zima. And this occurred to me as I was falling asleep last night. So, okay, he brought Zima. That was cute. But he only brought a 6-pack. There were more than 6 people at that wedding. So either only 6 people got to drink, or everybody got less than a full bottle of Zima, or Deke just drank it all himself.
There's probably, I mean, it was a big duffel bag. He probably had more than his 6-pack of Zima. He just brought that up to say,
good point.
Hey, that's where, and I think maybe a 6-pack of Zima is all anybody would want anyway, because
I'm trying to remember if I ever actually drank Zima. I think I was kind of a snob about that even when I was drinking Smirnoff Ice.
it was so bad. It was so bad. All right. We also know that Gemma doesn't live in the future, that at some point in time she dies, but we know that they have a grandson. So either they have a child or she does some sort of genetic thing to have a genetic clone or a genetic baby or something like that.
So he said he got it from his mom, who got it from his grandmother. So presumably they have a daughter.
Yeah. So one of the things this episode did was it's like it tied up the Ghostwriter thing. It's like, oh, when the Ghostwriter thing is coming back. Oh no, the price, we now know the price. It was the alien voodoo stuff keeping him together. And then we learned that the time monolith was taken out to be used to send them to the future, put back, and then now destroyed. So then they're going to find that piece when they go through the rubble, and they're going to keep it. Gemma and Fitz are going to keep it, and they're going to pass it along to their daughter, who's going to pass it along to Deke. And now we have a Terminator situation. I'm going to spoil the first Terminator, where you have an awful future. John Connor sends back the guy who ends up being his dad. So now we have the grandson who came back to pick the wedding ring for his grandparents. And we're supposed to try to avoid the awful future, but now it's like a causal loop now.
Okay, but did Deke come back with them that first? Oh,
because it's one of those things that is Deke going to be one of those weird time remnants that's just going to be outside of time and not be able to experience the good life again? The last season of Continuum addresses this, where you have the woman who goes through the awful things and who actually changes the past doesn't get to live that life because she is outside of time, because she had to experience the awfulness in order to make the correct timeline. Is that's what's going to happen here, that Deke becomes part of this and actually creates it, but then sees his life wonderful, but doesn't get to enjoy the wonderful timeline? Because him making him that relative and actually part of their lives, like getting the wedding ring and stuff that he inherits, it becomes the causal loop.
There's so much about the time thing right now, because we left the future and it seemed like they were going to start to try to fix the Earth and bring that back together. And we've gone through the different multi-universes thing and how many universes Marvel has, and is just going to make my head hurt. And at that point, I am just at the point of the time travel. I'm just going to let them show me what they're going to show me, because I doubt they're going to change anything right now. I mean, this is episode 12. We have just a couple months of episodes left, probably, of this series. So we're just hoping that they stick the landing and that they end in a good place at this point in time. Yes, they could be renewed for another season. I doubt they will, though.
Also, but even before we knew about Deke, when Gemma's doing the whole her wedding vows, she says something about starting a family. Did anybody else think right there, is she pregnant?
Well, we think they did the deed in front of the monolith time
Yeah.
thingy.
Yeah.
So that's probably when she gets pregnant.
Are they having a time baby?
It's happened before. Doctor Who did that whole thing.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So that was immediately where my mind went to. And then when we find out that Deke's their grandbaby, then yeah, that's all I could think of is like, oh my God, is that where they conceived his mom? Did they conceive his mom in the future?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. All right. We talked before about how we felt about this episode. So we're just going to rate it on a schedule of 1 to 100 because it's 100 episodes. Going to make it a little bit more difficult, but you know, they've earned it. They've got 100 episodes, which as Haley pointed out means syndication. So yay, we'll be able to see this on, I don't know, TV Land or something in the future. So Michelle, how would you rate the episode?
I liked it. I know it could have been better. I think what the writers did was sacrifice the specialty of being 100 in order to stick with the story that they're trying, and they sprinkled in a little fan service instead of taking a complete break out of the storyline and making it a fan service love letter. That's what Arrow did. Arrow's 100th episode happened within the crossover, and they basically had to come up with this lame excuse to have this fan servicey love letter to the fans for their 100th episode, and it kind of interrupted the action of the crossover. And I think this is... So I don't think it's as bad as some people thought. I think a lot of people built it up because it's the 100th and they expected something really, really special. I did not have that expectation. I'm going to give them a solid B+, which would be about an 88 out of 100.
Interesting. Lauren, where will you grade this on a scale of 1 to 100?
On a scale of 1 to 100, I'd give them about maybe like a 70, 75. Again, it had some, I overall liked it. It had some really good stuff. But after, just in comparison to the rest of the episodes this season, I felt like it didn't really compare.
Okay. So, Michelle, you're at like World's End or Orientation, which is episodes 88 to 90. And you, Lauren, are at Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire, Broken Promises, 70 to 75. I'm going to give it a B+, which would put me roughly like The Man Behind the Shield, or B-, excuse me. I said B+, right? B-. The Man Behind the Shield, Boom, Self-Control, 79 through 81. That's where I would give it. And the reason why I did enjoy the fact that they didn't sacrifice completely the story. And they gave us some really good stuff. But at the same time, it wasn't the intensity of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I've remembered. I mean, I'm great at world building, story building, and I love bringing back those aspects of the future or of the past episodes. By the way, did you catch that the intro Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. graphic went through all of the versions that they had?
I did like that. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. So that was really cool, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I had other episodes. Still a good episode. Not going to say it's a bad episode. It's just not like the best ever. So that's where I'm going to throw it. Thank you very much to the production team. Thank you very much for the actors. They actually tied up a lot of stories that we were worried about in the past. So I'm glad we got that. I'm looking forward to them tying up some more because, like I said, I think this is going to be the end of this series. Unless I'm proven wrong, which I often am, and everybody loves to point out. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Any last words, Michelle?
Yeah, my last words would be RIP Noah. I wish we got to know you a little bit better. You seem to be an interesting...
Chromicon,
yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad. One episode. You'll be missed.
Unless, we were talking about the 3 monoliths, by the way, last time. And then one monolith was the Maveth monolith. The other one was the one that sent into the future. We weren't quite sure what the third one was. We still don't know, but we know that the interaction of the 3 led to this fear dimension, as Fitz was kept on pointing out. Anybody get it this was supposed to be like a Hollywood episode or a Halloween episode?
That would have made it a little bit, I think that would have improved it by like a grade for me, maybe half a grade.
Yeah.
If it actually aired on Halloween.
But it was, it was a way to bring back the past without you can't bring back Bill Paxton, even though he was a villain. You can't bring back.
You could have brought back Ward.
Well, you could have, but you can't bring back Powers. There's different people that you can't bring back that were really influential. It would have been nice to see Nick Fury, I'll admit, or anybody from the MCU. That would have been nice, but we didn't. All right, so that was episode number 100. Lauren, I didn't give you a chance. Any last things?
No, I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to say.
All right. So that was episode number 100. We are looking forward to episode number 101 next time. Principia? Principia.
Or Principia.
All right. Looking forward to that. Did you guys see the preview for next week?
Yes.
Looks interesting. Michelle, did you see it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Wasn't quite sure what all was going to happen, but obviously they still need to permanently tie up that space-time continuum tear, which we didn't really talk about, but that seemed almost, it looked like the ribbon in Star Trek, or what was that in Doctor Who? The rip in space-time in Doctor, it was the same sort of thing to me.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
All right, so looking forward to that. Now, Lauren, if people are looking for other things in the meantime, where should they go?
Well, they should go to Gonna Geek, but they can try other shows, including Super Geeky Playdate. Episode number 67 of Super Geeky Playdate is Top 5 Villain Monologues. Once they get out of the Wonkavator, they have to go into a boring office and just sign paperwork. Derek Stewart helps us on a super fun list. This is an explicit podcast, I think you said?
Yep.
Yes.
Just give a little warning there. It is an explicit podcast, but they're funny. So super fun list on a super geeky play date. Top 5 villain monologues. That would be interesting. Lauren, just go through your head right now. What would you consider to be the top 5 monologues? Don't say anything, but there are out there. So it would be interesting to run through them and what they think, right?
Oh, I just thought of like 5 right now.
Yeah, but are they the top 5?
Well, they're the first 5 I think of.
Okay.
So they've stuck with.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to get on to some news.
Okay, we have some news items for you. We're going to start off with some news about Black Panther.
Yay. Black Panther has officially crossed $1 billion at the global box office.
That's amazing. Way to go.
Yes.
Bravo. 1 billion.
Yeah.
And this is a month after it has released?
Yep.
Wow.
So there's been this kind of prevailing theory that Black-led movies just don't do well at the global market. And yeah, suck it, Hollywood. Suck it.
It's a good story. It's a good universe. There's a whole bunch of great things. We did a whole podcast on it 2 episodes ago. Go listen to that, but it's just great.
I just saw it again. Oh, it holds up so good under a rewatch. I need to rewatch it like 5 more times immediately still. But A Wrinkle in Time just came out, and I just reread that book, so I need to go watch that too.
I remember all those people saying, oh, Black Panther won't do good in China. No, Chinese people won't like it. They like it.
Uh-huh.
Moving on to some Netflix news. Luke Cage has a premiere date.
Yeah, the trailer. Okay, so Jessica Jones season 2 just dropped. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. But I think the same day it dropped, we got the Luke Cage season 2 trailer and premiere date. The trailer was cool. Have y'all seen it yet?
Yes.
And at the end, we got the premiere date, which is June 22nd. So Netflix is moving right along.
Yeah, so we get Infinity War, we get Solo, we get Ant-Man and the Wasp coming up later this year, and we get Luke Cage season 2. It's going to be a fun 2018 as far as Marvel's concerned.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff coming out.
Jessica Jones season 2 is on now, but it looks like we're not going to get a Defenders 2 from the rumblings I've heard.
Yeah, there was an interview. I didn't link this in the news, but there was an interview that I saw with Kristen Ritter where she says that she's fine with that. She's like, yeah, my heart is really in Jessica Jones. Defenders was fun. We all met up, but my heart's with Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I believe we talked about that last episode, that it's probably not And Defenders was so amazing. I really enjoyed it. It could have been better, but it was great for what it was. And I could see them abandoning that property because they're trying to put their efforts into whatever they're going to throw on the Disney streaming service. So, I mean, this is not unexpected. We all saw this coming.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd see it so much as abandoning as just for like logistical reasons and stuff. And yeah, like you said, there's for the streaming stuff, just kind of stick with what they have and what they know is doing good for them and all that sort of thing.
Entertainment Weekly had a lengthy interview with Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige about the future of Black Panther, Captain Marvel, beyond Phase 3. And it's a very lengthy interview. I highly suggest you read the entire part. But Entertainment Weekly asked him, will you get more women and people of color behind the camera as well as in front of the camera? And he said, yes, I think we're seeing it shift from a very purposeful initiative to just a fact of life, to just a way of doing business. Then there are people we hired that we're not ready to announce in all different capacities, particularly behind the camera. As Panther has so loudly declared, representation can only help you tell unique stories, can only help you do things in a new and unique and fresh and exciting way. If you do that, audiences will notice it and appreciate it and support it.
Yes, 100% yes. And again, I think like we've seen with Black Panther, people are really appreciating the representation both in front of the camera and behind it. Same with Wonder Woman. And again, just from a marketing standpoint, it's good. You can say, hey, look at us. You had the whole inclusion writer thing at the Oscars being brought up, which if you didn't hear about that, it's a thing that lead actors with a lot of pull can include that says, hey, I want this many, I want a representative sample of people of color, of women, etc., to be in the kind of non-critical speaking parts, just to kind of reflect our reality. And you're starting to see this because people are fed up with not seeing themselves on screen and not seeing themselves behind the screen. And because so much of the entertainment industry is who you know, people tend to hire people like them. So that's why you look at the Academy, and it historically been a bunch of old white guys. And they've made efforts in recent years to reach out to the newer voices, to women, to people of color. And so you're trying to get this more diverse, more representative of the real world view. But it's going to be kind of a lengthy process. And if Marvel, who has a huge, huge following, a huge stake in today's movies, actually puts forth the effort, I think we're going to see a pretty good amount of change sooner rather than later, especially now that they've seen that, hey, guess what? It's profitable.
Yeah, as long as, like I said, it's a good story and it's in the universe that we like and that sort of thing. I really look forward to what's going on here. And good on Marvel, good on Disney for embracing this and moving forward with it. Whether it's profitable or not, of course, profit is going to drive what these companies do long term. But if they just reach in and get those creators and okay the stories along those lines, at least it gets a chance to move forward. So I'm really looking forward to what comes out in the next few years with all this, because it's been a fun ride so far.
Moving on to a show that has a unique view. That's the Legion show, and we have a trailer for season 2.
Yes, we do. Have y'all had a chance to watch this one yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. So it's maybe 2 minutes long, I want to say. There's dancing. There's the same trippy visual style we're used to. Lenny's back. We get a glimpse of the Shadow King, several glimpses of the Shadow King, a bit of a hint of what we're up for in season 2. It looks trippy. It looks fun. It looks scary, freaky. I am so looking forward to this. Legion was one of my favorite shows of last year, and I'm looking forward to watching it and kind of unraveling it again.
We definitely needed therapy after we watched a lot of those episodes until we figured out what was going on. So we're going to need that therapy again this year. Really looking forward to that.
And we're going to end on a couple of fun stories about Black Panther. The first is about a girl, a retainer, her orthodontist, and Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, so I'm linking to a BuzzFeed article, but I originally saw this on Tumblr. There was a Tumblr post. It was a picture of Michael B. Jordan as Kilgrave. And it's him, shirtless, with the scars, handsome as hell. And then a picture of him in the museum, with the glasses, just looking just suave as hell. Let's get you a man that could do both. And then somebody says, one of my patients came in for an emergency visit because she snapped the wire on her retainer watching the movie when Michael B. Jordan took his shirt off. She clenched her teeth so fracking hard, she snapped it. That is the funniest ever to me. This tiny 17-year-old girl thirsting so hard she busted steel. And it got passed around Tumblr because, let's face it, it's hilarious. And it revealed no personal information or anything, but then a girl on Twitter saw the post that was being passed around. She said, wait, the girl's name's Pixie Rue. Wait, that girl is me. That's my orthodontist Tumblr. This is a post about me. I'm going to kill myself. And then the orthodontist, the girl confirmed, BuzzFeed reached out to her. I'm sorry if this is a bit disjointed. I'm trying to follow BuzzFeed's post about it. She confirmed she's 18 years old and not 17 when BuzzFeed reached out to her. She shared the story on her Twitter. She continued, it's the scene where Killmonger took his shirt off for the battle to become king of Wakanda. I pressed my tongue against my permanent retainer and clenched my jaw so hard that the wire disconnected from my teeth. And the orthodontist later had to defend himself and said, I did not breach patient confidentiality. And then later, Michael B. Jordan tweeted her to say, I feel partially responsible for breaking retainers. Let me know if I can replace them. And so there's so many memes about this. Apparently, she's not mad at her orthodontist because he's just, she says he's like the sweetest guy. Yeah, it's just a really funny post, a really sweet post. We are, in fact, in the era where orthodontists have Tumblrs, by the way. And by the way, if you are a doctor, please don't share your patient's personal information. The occasional funny, I've seen people sharing funny stories. Some of my favorite things to do are look at, like, what's the worst thing that if you're an ER doctor, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Because they're horrifying and gross. And people stick so many things inside themselves. But do not ever, ever, ever share a person's name. If you feel the need to share this stuff, fudge personal information, like fudge details of the case. Do not ever, ever, ever link personal information. But it's a funny story. The girl has now become a Twitter personality. Michael B. Jordan reached out to her, and she's having a good time. So it's a story with a happy ending. Her retainer is fixed.
Good.
She and her orthodontist are still friends.
There you go. It's a good life story. We also have another one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sterling K. Brown hosted last night's Saturday Night Live, and the show aired a sketch that brought to life a new scene from Black Panther. The sketch sees T'Challa traveling to the ancestral plane and becoming acquainted with his various family members. Among them is Uncle Mbutu, who spends his time in the afterlife flipping burgers on a grill and making corny jokes. It is hilarious. It's that whole thing that everybody has that one family member. I mean, we all do. It doesn't matter where in the world you're from. All of us have that one family member. And this whole idea that T'Challa, King of Wakanda, the Black Panther, also has that one family member. It's hilarious.
That one family member in the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
With all these like dignified relatives and stuff. And then you have the one guy flipping burgers and trying to shove burgers in people's face. It's so good. And Sterling K. Brown is a treasure. Sterling K. Brown, if you don't remember, played his uncle, Njobu.
Right.
And it's so good. It's worth a watch. It's about a 5-minute sketch. And it's so good. I was dying watching it. It's so good.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the news this week. We're going to move on into some feedback.
All right. We actually had a lot of feedback this week. So thanks to everybody who hung out with a live tweet or tweeted us later. But I picked 3. So first of all, Agent Sean said in response, he tweeted us this article. Spider-Man Homecoming 2. Could the new femme fatale lead be Jessica Drew? And it's an article from, I don't see because I forgot to link it. But I think that would be so cool if we actually get Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. I'm 100% here for that. I've always loved her. Jessica Drew, for those of you who don't know, was a kind of a evil secret agent originally who has spider powers that are different from Spider-Man's powers, but kind of similar. Like she doesn't do the webs, but she has like pheromones and electro stingy stuff. But I would love to see her in this sort of high school setting. I don't know. It could be really fun. And I'd love to see somebody kind of taking on Spider-Man head to head. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Well, you know that as soon as they popped in Spider-Man into the peripherals of the MCU, you knew they were going to use them as much as they can. And it just benefits both companies. So I'm glad.
It's from comicbookmovies.com.
I'm glad they have this relationship between Sony and Marvel, and we'll just see what comes from that over time. Like, was Spider-Man Homecoming like a one-time thing because they wanted to use Spider-Man in Civil War and probably a couple other things? Or is this more of a long-term business relationship? And we know that some of the characters are going to stay in Sony and some of the characters are going to stay in Marvel, and we'll see what happens.
All right. We also have from @IndependentAlto. Okay, I did a tweet early in the night. Coulson's perspective is refreshing. Once you've seen aliens, demons, superpowers, robots, the actual Matrix, and time travel, anything's possible. And she retweeted that and then said, Alfonso Mackenzie ghost wrote this. Alfonso Mackenzie, for those of you who don't remember, is Mac's real name.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah, he wants to quit again. We didn't talk about that, Mac. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's constantly wanting to quit, get out. So at some point in time, Mac is going to get out and have a nice life. But
just let Mac and Yo-Yo be happy together. Oh my God.
Indeed.
We also have from Mr. Paraclete. Was it my imagining or did that Kree have the scythe from the last season of Buffy? You know, I didn't see, but now I'm going to have to go back and look for it. It would be another Buffy tie-in.
To me, it looked like just an axe with blood on it, but I could be mistaken. Like the same Kree axe we saw before, but with blood on it.
We also have some Facebook feedback. So in the Legion Season 2 trailer, DX Ferris said, "Love this show. The band I just wrote a book about, their drummer is the sound mixer, Kevin Valentine."
Interesting. So go check that out.
Yeah,
Legion.
so the band that he just wrote a book about, by the way, is Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like Slayer, you might want to check out DX Ferris's books, Rain and Blood, and Slayer's 66 2/3, the Jeff and Dave years.
And Ferris has been talking to me a lot about how he's had to create these books and everything. And it's an amazing story of how to write basically a bio book on a band. And he's definitely put the work in. So these books, I've read a couple, and these books are fun to read if you're into bands and stuff like that. So go check that out.
And we also have some YouTube feedback from our Black Panther episode. Majestic Entertainment News says, "Awesome video, friends," to which we say thank you.
Indeed.
And to our All the Comforts of Home episode, Nariantics13 said, "Zima and oranges are the best." Is Zima available again? I know it was, they brought it back for a limited edition thing, and I don't know if it's still available.
Somebody somewhere posted that you can only get in China now, something like that.
Like Japan.
Yeah.
Because it's Japan.
And they like everything 80s.
Well, the 80s are back. We have steampunk, we have Cold War, we have nuclear threats.
We have Ready Player One.
We have Ready Player One.
And A Wrinkle in Time. When was A Wrinkle in Time written?
I want to say the 60s.
Right, so that is all the great feedback from everybody. Thank you very much for sending us the feedback, whether it's Twitter, whether it's the YouTube comments, whether it is on Facebook. We really appreciate all that, and keep them coming in as you talk about the episode number 100. In the meantime, we are going to crack open that 6-pack of Zima and drink our way out. Made it to the end of 100 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and 232 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Thank you for downloading this show. Thank you for watching it over on YouTube. And thank you for being fans of us and contributing to us, because we do this for you and we do this for the community. Otherwise, we go off into our little hangout, wherever that is, online and talk about this episode. So thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody who sends us feedback, whether you're hanging out with us on Twitter, whether you're poking your head in on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever. We love hearing from you. When you send us stuff during the week, just, hey, you thought of us. It makes our day. If you can't watch along with us and you include us in your own viewing live tweets, again, it just makes our day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who downloads this from Apple Podcast, or you watch it on YouTube, listen on Spotify, whatever podcatcher you have. Thank you for consuming our little podcast gushing about our favorite show.
I'm still waiting for those feedbacks from those people who illegally download this through torrents.
I'm never going to live that down, am I? Is that going to last forever?
We actually talked about it way before, too, so no big deal.
Hey, the internet is forever, yo.
It is. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com, where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D is copyright 2018.